In the legal world, there is a combination of forces that feed a corrupt and suffocating legal system for attorneys. Law schools, law professionals, judges, and even the firms themselves for whom you work create a system, a matrix, if you will, that is nothing like what you thought when you passed the bar exam. The purpose of this podcast is to help you escape this legal matrix, leading you out of the proverbial desert to be free of the bondage of the matrix. Hosted by Bryce D. Nyer, attorney at law with over 30 years experience in the trenches of civil and criminal litigation at the state, federal, and international levels. He's a highly accomplished and resourceful legal professional, a true master of his craft, and he's here to help you get your life back. Here's your host, Bryce D. Nyer.
All right. This is Bryce D. Nyer coming at you with another episode of Escape. Yeah, the legal matrix. That's right, with yours truly, me. Drake is somewhere wandering around the office, our Labrador Retriever, but he's not in here with me. It's extremely early right now. It's about 3:30 a.m. Standard Eastern Time, or Eastern Standard Time. Gosh, I think I'm dyslexic. So, anyway, what are we going to talk about today, tonight, this morning? We're going to talk about suffering in silence. How many of you out there are suffering right now? Maybe it's something physical, maybe it's something emotional, maybe it's something financial, maybe it's your physical fitness, work, relationships. I mean, it could be a smorgasbord of things. And the issue comes down to, are you suffering in silence? Are you not dealing with the problem? Are you not dealing with the dilemma? Are you not dealing with the Goliath that stands before you? And I say this because I couldn't sleep last night. I just couldn't sleep. I had so much on my mind. I have so many deadlines. I have trials coming up. And there's just so much stress and there's so much pressure and trying to get everything done that it about made my head explode. And so I found it very difficult to sleep. And so I got up and I went to the gym about, I don't know, probably about 1 a.m., 2 a.m. this morning. Maybe 1 a.m. It was very early. I just couldn't sleep. And I hit some machines and then I did the treadmill. And during that time, I had the time to really just sit and think, especially when I was on the treadmill and listening to some podcasts and some other speakers. And I got to thinking about, what's going on in the world and how there's just so much suffering. And, it takes back on a different subject when one time I was asked, or a bunch of us were asked, who causes the suffering? Is it God or do we create our own suffering? And it was always an interesting question. It was always a great topic to really think about. Like, who really causes our suffering? Now, you can go back in the Bible and see, especially with Job, this thing, between God and Satan, where Satan says, hey, you bring plagues upon him, you make him suffer, and he's not going to worship you. He's not going to be loyal to you. And God says, hey, challenge accepted. And of course, as we know, Job remained faithful. And in remaining faithful, Job was suffering, and he was suffering in silence. Others saw it, and even those closest to him wanted him to, really curse God and blame God for all his sufferings, and he just would not do it. And so this brings us back to when I was sitting there and I was working out, and then I was on the treadmill, and then I sat in my car for a little bit, and I was listening to more podcasts and different speakers on different topics of this nature. I thought, a lot of us really do sit there and suffer in silence, and we really don't appropriately address the situations. That's why you see so much in the legal profession, all these addictions to alcohol, to drugs, to pornography, to people, things, food, substances. There's just so much abuse that goes on that people do to themselves because they suffer in the silence. And I am convinced beyond any reasonable doubt that when you do journal, when you do pray, when you do read scripture, there are times that, God humbles you. And I think he has us suffer so we can realize that we cannot depend upon ourselves to fix our lives. I mean, think about it. If you're going through something really bad right now, maybe your boyfriend cheated, your girlfriend cheated, your husband cheated, your wife cheated, maybe you lost a job, maybe your health benefits came to an end, maybe you're just struggling in every facet of your life. Maybe your kids said they hate you. We all go through that. But it could be something that has deeply wounded you in one of the four domains of body, being, balance, or business. And so then the issue is, what have you been turning to try and deal with it? And I sit here and I look at these people like, get all these self-help books and all this other stuff. But then what I also see is people don't follow through. Everybody wants a quick fix to their suffering when they're suffering in silence. And in my life, there's been no quick fix. What there has been is moving forward despite the obstacle and despite the pain, to break free of the bondage and the chains of the things that weigh you down and make you suffer in silence. I'm not always convinced that people should suffer in silence. I'm not. I hear a lot of things that, you should, go silent, go dark, get off social media, not say anything, rebuild yourself, come back in 6 months or a year, and blah, blah, blah. Then on the other hand, I hear, well, you got to stand up for what's right. If you want to get things done, you have to have a voice and you have to be heard. And so, which is it? Because when you suffer in silence, you're not really saying anything. You're internalizing it. And I've done that a lot in my life. And that's probably what kept me up last night with all the things that are the challenges I have ongoing in my life, till it about just drove me crazy. And, I started trying to listen to music to go to sleep. I started, trying to just like pray, and I'm just like, I just couldn't do it. I just feel like, man, I'm just suffering here. And now, don't get me wrong, there are real people suffering. I don't know if I want to call what I'm going through suffering, but there are people that are being killed. They're murdered, they're raped, over in other countries, because of their faith, and because they're trying to live and operate in truth, and they're being slaughtered for it. Now, that's real suffering. When you lose your homes, your children, your family, and even your life because you stand up for truth and what's right, that's true suffering. And a lot of suffering, I think, that we go through, we create. We lost our phone, we're suffering. No, you're not. You just lost your phone. Or some other really minuscule thing when you compare it to really what goes on in the world with people really suffering. And I think part of the solution to this problem is that we should not suffer alone. Okay. And I don't mean, I'll bring a group and everybody suffer and, make it contagious. No, I'm just saying that when you're going through whatever it is that you're going through and you're suffering, don't do it in silence. I'm not saying be a constant whiner or complainer, but like, I came to this realization this morning and frankly, many times over the years, that I have to address the elephant in the room. I have to go fight Goliath. And many times it wasn't fun. It was rather unpleasant. And last night, as I was going through, like, God, I've got all these deadlines, I've got all these trials, I've got all these things to do. And, just everybody and everything and everyone is just at me, at my throat. And finally, I was like, okay, I just got to get up and I got to work out. This suffering is stuff that I'm creating in my head. And after I got done working out and showering up, I felt a lot better. I felt kind of weaponized for the day, especially when I could get my day started early and I have silence and the phones aren't ringing and the emails aren't, coming, unglued at me to like 1,000 miles an hour. So ask the better question in your life. Where are you suffering in silence? And do you need to suffer in silence? And what action should you be taking to not suffer in silence? So I know there's some decisions I'm making today. In fact, I already did, for what I'm going to do to deal with the issues in my life. And I'm not going to back out of that commitment to address the situations that I have. I'm going to face them head on. It's going to be painful. It's going to be tiring. It's going to require a lot of energy. It's going to require some very, very hard decisions. Well, maybe this isn't hard. I mean, a decision could be one way or the other. Either I'm going to do it or I'm not going to do it. If I don't do something, that is a decision. And so you need to get in that space of saying, this is what my suffering is. And it might be something minor or it might be something major. I'm not making light of it. I'm just saying, look at it, give it a scale from 1 to 10, 10 being like, man, I'm going to throw myself out. I'm going to throw myself out the first story window. No, I don't do that. But look at it, write it down, and give it a score from 1 to 10 of where it is on this suffering in silence, and then deal with it. All right, so ask those better questions. This has been Bryce Nair with another episode of Escape the Legal Matrix. Again, the topic is suffering in silence, and what are you going to do about it? So where's Drake? I don't know where he went, but he's gone. He's roaming the law firm somewhere in here. I better go find him. He's probably getting into all the food. All right, y'all have a great day, great night, whatever time zone you're in. This is Bryce out.